Hi, this is Pawan Mysore from Mysore AI Visuals. Have you ever heard of a king who chose death over surrender? A king who stood against the mighty British India Company when most kingdoms were afraid to challenge them. This is the inspiring story of Chinna Vijayaramaraju, the brave Zamindar of Vizianagaram, whose courage shook the foundations of British power in South India. Long before the First War of the Independence in 1857, this fearless warrior fought for his honor, his kingdom, and his people's freedom. Let's travel back to the year 1794 and uncover the forgotten story of Battle of Padmanabham. In the beautiful region of the present day Andhra Pradesh stood the prosperous kingdom of Vizianagaram. The kingdom was ruled by the proud Puspati dynasty, known for their bravery and wisdom and dedication to their people. Among them emerged a young king named Chinna Vijayaramaraju. He was not a Zamindar, he was a leader who believed that a king's duty was to protect his land and peoples at any cost. At that time, a new power was spreading across the India, that is British East India Company. What had started as a trading company was slowly turning into a political and military force. One by one, Indian kingdoms were falling under British control. Some kings accepted British authority, others were forced into submission. But Chinna Vijayaramaraju had a different plan. He believed that Vizianagaram should remain independent and dignified. He refused to become a puppet in British hands. This decision would change the course of the life forever. The British East India Company had already gained influence in many parts of India. They wanted complete control over the rich territories of northern Sarkars, including Vizianagaram. The British began interfering in local administration. They demanded more power. They wanted rural kings to be obeyed by their orders without a question. But Chinna Vijayaramaraju was not willing to surrender his authority. He believed that the British were slowly taking away the rights of Indian kings. Tensions between the Zamindar and the British officers started growing day by day. The company accused him for his disobedience against them. They tried to pressure him into accepting their conditions. However, every demand from the British was met with resistance. The young king stood firm. His message was clear: Vizianagaram belongs to its people, not to foreign kings. The British became frustrated. They saw Chinna Vijayaramaraju as an obstacle to their expansion. Soon, negotiation failed. Threats increased. The situation moved close to conflict. The British decided that Zamindar had to be removed. Meanwhile, Chinna Vijayaramaraju understood the danger. He knew the confrontation with the British should not be easy. The East India Company possessed modern weapons, trained soldiers, and vast resources. But he also knew something important. The nation spirit cannot be measured by size of its army. Determined to defend his honor, he gathered loyal warriors and supporters. Farmers, soldiers, noblemen, and common citizens rallied behind him. They was ready to fight for their homeland, not because the victory was guaranteed, but because the freedom was worth fighting for. As tensions reached their peak, both sides prepared for a battle. The historic battlefield would be Padmanabham, a small village near Vizianagaram. The date was July 10, 1794. The atmosphere was tense. The air was filled with uncertainty. Thousands of people knew that a decisive moment had arrived. One side stood the powerful British East India Company. On the other side stood the Chinna Vijayaramaraju and his loyal followers. These odds have heavily against the Zamindar. The British army had a superior weapons and military discipline, yet the courage of Vizianagaram warriors remained unshaken. For them, this was not merely a battle. It was a fight for dignity and self-respect. As the sun rose over the Padmanabham, the battle began. The sound of gunfire echoed across the fields. Smoke filled the air. Warriors charged forward with determination. The British forces advanced with organized formation, but the defenders fought fiercely. The Chinna Vijayaramaraju personally inspired his troops. He moved among his warriors, encouraging them to stand strong. His bravery gave strength to everyone around him. The battle became intense. Many lives were lost. The ground trembled under the roar of weapons. Despite their courage, the warriors of Vizianagaram faced a difficult challenge. The British possessed their better firearms and military technology. Gradually, the balance of the battle began to shift. Still, the Zamindar refused to retreat. He continued fighting with extraordinary courage. Every movement on the battlefield became a symbol of resistance against the colonial domination. As the battle progressed, the situation became critical. The British forces gaining the upper hand. One by one, the loyal warriors fell. The defenders were outnumbered and outgunned. Yet Chinna Vijayaramaraju refused to surrender. He knew the consequences of the defeat. He also knew that the surrender would mean a losing honor and independence. With unwavering determination, he continued leading from the front. Then became the tragic moment. During the fierce fighting, Chinna Vijayaramaraju was killed on battlefield. The brave king who had challenged the mighty British Empire fell while defending his kingdom, his people. His death marked the end of the Battle of Padmanabham. The British emerged victorious. But the victory on the battlefield did not erase the courage displayed by the Zamindar. Instead, his sacrifice transformed him into a legend. News on the death spread rapidly. People across the region mourned the loss of their beloved king. Families remembered his bravery. Warriors remembered his leadership. Common people remembered his dedication. Though the British had won the battle, they could not win the hearts of the people. The memory of Chinna Vijayaramaraju lived on. His story became a symbol of resistance. History often remembers the large empires and famous wars, but sometimes the greatest heroes are those whose story remains hidden. Chinna Vijayaramaraju is the one such hero. He fought not for wealth, not for conquest, not for personal glory. He fought because he believed that the foreign power should not control his homeland. His courage reminds us that the freedom is never free. It is earned through sacrifice, determination, and unwavering belief in justice. The Battle of Padmanabham may not be famous as other battles in Indian history, yet it represents an important chapter in the struggle against the colonial rule. It shows the resistance to British domination began long before the great revolts of 19th century. It proves that the spirit of freedom was alive in India even in 18th century. Today, the battlefield of Padmanabham stands as a reminder of that historic sacrifices. It tells the story of a king who refused to bow before the foreign authority. It honors the warriors who fought beside him. And it reminds us that true leadership means standing for what is right, even when odds seems impossible. The name of Chinna Vijayaramaraju deserves to be remembered alongside the India's greatest heroes, because courage is not measured by victory, it is measured by willingness to fight for one's principle. And in the measure, Chinna Vijayaramaraju was truly great. So, the next time someone says that India's freedom struggle began in 1857, remember the brave Zamindar of Vizianagaram. Remember the warrior who challenged the British decades earlier. Remember the hero who chose honor over surrender. Remember Chinna Vijayaramaraju, a forgotten lion of Andhra Pradesh, a fearless defender of freedom, a legend whose sacrifice still echoes through history. Jai Hind. If you enjoyed this inspiration story of Chinna Vijayaramaraju and Battle of Padmanabham, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Comment below and tell us which the forgotten Indian hero we should cover next. Thanking you, it was Pawan Mysore from Mysore Air Visuals.